Are you confused about writing? Do you not know where to start or even how to finish? Do you love writing so much that it burns deep in your soul, but you still don't know how to meet your goals? Are you looking for a little inspiration that will take you on a writer's vacation? Then let us all write together. Let us all write our way. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Write Our Way. I'm your host, Patrick Starks, and today we're going to talk about something special because I've been gone for a while. I missed you all greatly, and I look forward to having this conversation with you today because I feel like we as writers, we're still on the journey, right? And we still want to write and be passionate about it, and we still want to grow as writers, and it's always good to share knowledge with you guys about things that can help your writing go even further. Now, I've already talked to you guys about, how to create short stories and character development, etc. But I haven't talked to you guys much deeply about this investigation process when we get to a certain level in our writing. Now, I know a lot of you guys are wondering, what the heck is an investigation process for writing? Well, to simply put it, you're investigating your book. You're trying to figure out what is going on in the story, who the protagonist is, who the antagonist is, what's their motive, what's going on to the story to push them towards a certain location or emotion. So if you're still not following me, this is basically a brainstorming process, but just more fun. It's more than just a simple outline or just taking a sheet of paper and drawing a few bubbles like we were taught, middle school or high school. I've always said that having a vision for your stories will enhance them and make them more appealing to your audience. As the saying goes, seeing is believing, and when you as a writer can't see it, then you're not going to believe it, and that shows in your stories dramatically. It'll show that you yourself as the writer or the author is not all that invested or interested in the plot. Now, this process is going to be similar to what I spoke about on Season 2, Episode 7, I believe. And in that episode, we told our stories through a maze. We actually had like a draw out of a maze. And in that maze, we had a starting point and we had a finishing point. And through that maze, we had to guide our protagonists from start to finish. And so we had all like these little hiccups. We had these roadblocks that we drew within the maze. And then we figured out what turn the protagonist needed to do to get back on the pathway to the finish line. Now, that one's a fun method too. And if you guys do prefer that method, try it out. Go to that episode. Again, that's Season 2, Episode 7. But other than that, we are going to start the process of this investigation. So what I want you guys to do is, in your house or your apartment, find an empty wall, no pictures or anything on the wall, or you can use your door, closet door, anything that you can find that you can stick things to. Because what I want you to do is I want you to find like some computer paper or just any type of blank paper, some sticky notes if you have it, and some tape or thumbtacks. What I want you to do first is take that blank sheet of paper and write down where your protagonist is currently, as in where is their beginning point in the story. So now that you've done that, I want you to stick that to whatever empty space that you found. Everyone got that? Great, awesome. So this is where it's going to get really cool. So now you're going to take a sticky note and place that anywhere on the edge of that blank sheet of paper that you wrote on prior. And on that sticky note, I want you guys to write down what significant place your character will go from that start point. But make sure you leave enough room to fill in the description, because we are going to explain a little bit more in detail to what this place is, or even who they might meet. So now I want you all to create one more sticky note on the opposite side of the sticky note you just wrote on, and I want you to write what interaction the character had to the last sticky note that shifted them to another point in the story. We're simply writing down what the result will be after that interaction. And so once we write that down, I want you to find, find a piece of string or something, like a red string preferably. You know how they do in the movies for investigations. If you can, if you don't, that's okay. You can just find, I'm trying to think, just find anything that you can connect the two sticky notes together. Because at the end, we're going to need to know, when we look at it all as a scope, we need to know what all connects together and what works. Because the whole process of this is seeing like what works and what doesn't work. If something doesn't work or it doesn't make sense, then you break a connection. You take a sticky note and separate it from another one. Or you might change the order of the connection. Make like the sticky note that we just wrote for the second one and put that before the one that we wrote first. If that makes any sense. I kind of tongue-tied myself there, but yeah, you can reverse the connections. Think of let's think Marvel, let's think Spider Universe, let's think multiverse. Let's look at how these things connect and what happens when you break connections and reverse them. The whole point of this is to find some type of synchronization to your stories. Again, like I talked about before, the flow. Everything's got to flow together, to be appealing to your readers, and so they're not getting bored or getting lost. In fact, the only person that should be getting lost in the story is the protagonist, but it's your job as the author is to guide them into the right direction, on the right pathway, so at the end they can finish their stories. If any of you guys are any WWE fans, I'm a huge fan. I've been watching it since I was a kid, and it's kind of like the whole story arc with Cody Rhodes. If you guys are familiar with him, phenomenal wrestler, great guy, great personality, and his whole character arc was about finishing his story, finishing his father's legacy, of having the WWE Championship. Because I think the whole point was that no one in his family had ever held the WWE Championship. And so he had this story he wanted to finish for his family, and you just got to see all the trials and tribulations he had to go through to get there. But the way the writers did it for the show, it all flowed, it all synced together at the end. Although it looked scrambled at one point, it all synced. And that's essentially the way you want to do your writing when you're writing your stories. You want everything to look scrambled. Leave the readers at the edge of their seats. Leave them thinking like, what the heck's going on? This is going nowhere. But then you hit a point, an arc in the story where it's like, okay, that's what's going on. This is why this is all syncing together. But in the beginning, as writers, we're not told that. We don't know that when we first started writing, that stories are meant to be a little scrambled. We're thinking when we first start writing, it's all supposed to make sense right away, and that's not the case. The whole joy and fun of writing is, like I've spoke again. I'm gonna keep saying this. I've probably said this a bunch of times with you guys, and I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, we know, but I'm gonna keep preaching it. You got to practice what you preach, and everything for stories is like a puzzle, and you're just trying to put the pieces together so that you can see the whole image at some point. That's the whole intent of it. I was just thinking, I really wish I could show you guys like what I did for my story and just how my wall looks, because it's pretty cool. And maybe I'll have to do a video at some point. Let me know if you guys ever want me to do that. That'll be something I'll be happy to do for you guys, to show you what it actually looks like. And I'm sure other writers have done this too, and you might be able to Google it and see what those things look like. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for a story. You can look at any type of just Google images of investigations, wall scenes or something like that, and you'll see it. I don't know why this is popping up in my head, but if you look at what is it? I don't know if you guys remember the show on MTV called Teen Wolf, and Styles, the one who was kind of like the investigating friend, next to Scott, close friend to Scott, but he was more the investigator of the whole group. And there's a scene where he has like this like little glass, like what is it? It's almost like a dry erase board, but it's like glass, and he was drawing out all the connections to what they were trying to solve, what other werewolves were out there, who was after them. And so that's a good example you might want to see. I don't know what episode that was, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. Everyone's smart and savvy here. I have faith in you guys. And so another thing I forgot to mention is, so the sticky notes work kind of like, they work kind of like descriptive points for each chapter. So the pieces of paper that you have are going to resemble the chapters, but the actual sticky notes are going to be kind of like the descriptions within the chapter. So that first piece of paper you put on your wall is actually chapter 1, or whatever you call it. It could be part 1, but that is the first part, and we're just explaining what's going on in it. And when you're ready or feel like you've added enough points that connect within that chapter, then we will create the second piece of paper that we'll place on the wall. And then, just like we did the first sheet of paper, we'll label where the protagonist is currently on that chapter, and then fill in the blanks from there. Now, I'm sure all you guys are knowing, well, what about the antagonist? Well, that's another cool part to this process that I'm excited to explain to you guys. And so this is where the scrambling really begins, is because I should have mentioned this before, but if you have 2 colors of sticky notes, that will serve you very well, because for me, like, my protagonist has the blue sticky notes and my antagonist has pink sticky notes. And so this is just for me to see who I'm basically talking about within this investigation board and what dots are connecting to each one of them. And sometimes the cool thing is you'll see where the protagonist and the antagonist, their connections will overlap. And so you'll see the tension within your story too, because that's very important when writing a story, is showing like this, like, like in songs they call it the bridge. That's like the point where it's like, oh my goodness, this is the breaking point. This is the best part of the song. And so this is kind of like in your stories, you want to find that bridge. That's literally what I call it, actually. I call it the bridge. Whenever my protagonist and my antagonist, their connections overlap, I call that the bridge, because it's double the lines. You know how bridges, like when they go across from like one point to the other, they have 2 lines crossing. That's literally how I look at it. But for the most part, like, have fun with this, guys. Like, this is like an opportunity to really dive back into your story and really be invested in it and really find some type of enjoyment and pleasure out of it. I know sometimes when you're looking at words and paper all the time, it can be a little excruciating. I'll be honest, it can get boring, and you're just like, oh, I'm so tired of looking at this. But we can take those words and put it to like a visual presentation. Then it makes you really look at the story differently and be like, oh, this story is interesting, because I'm seeing all these like little turns and twists in the story that overlap in some sync. And it's quite magical when you see that as a writer, because although we've already envisioned these stories in our heads, it's so much more different when you actually see those visions come to life. Because in our heads it's kind of scrambled, but when you see it all laid out, it's beautiful. It's kind of like I'm like a card collector. I collect cards, and I'm kind of a nerd. I collect Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, all that jazz. And it's never fun just looking at cards separately. It's so much nice when you have it like a portfolio and you see it all together. And that's the same thing I see stories. It's like once you see it all together, then man, it's just like this glorifying moment. It's like opening a book and light shining from it. And you want that as a writer. You want to keep that, because I know, regardless if it's writing or not, I know in many careers things can get a little repetitive, and that repetitiveness can kill your passion for what you do best. This is why my slogan I always say, become a child again. Imagine, my friend, because as children, we're very experimental. But when we become adults, we stop the curiosity of exploring things. And I think that can really kill our creativity and our passion down the road. And that's so essential to life itself, not to go on a spiritual and motivational talk, but it's so essential to life because I know so many people out there that I know, and sadly, they're depressed and they feel like, nothing's going right for them. And I'm here to tell you, just find something. Find something that you enjoy doing. Who cares what anybody thinks, if they think it's nerdy or they think it's stupid? This is about you. This is about you feeling good about what you do and where you're going in life. As long as you feel happy about that, that's all that matters. So going back to the writing, when you're writing, think about that. Think about what will make this fun for you. Maybe it's getting a new journal. Maybe it's getting a new pen. I'm pretty fond on the fountain pens, so they feel good when you write with them. It makes you feel very old school, the little feather at the end of the pen. But I'm not gonna go to too much detail about what else you need to do for this. I think you guys got the idea of this investigation process, and if you feel like it'll help even more, do some drawings. And again, you don't have to be a professional artist. You can do some stick figures or whatnot, or some little comic strips, just anything to kind of make you see it even more visually. I know for mine, I have some little drawings where it's kind of how they have in those shows like CSI, and they have the little board up like we're doing, and they have images of the murder scene. And so that's what I have. I have images up on the wall, but they're not of a murder scene or anything like that, but more so of the interactions in the story. I mean, there could be an exciting moment I might want to draw it out to show this is a very, very big point in the story that I have to emphasize on. But other than that, guys, I don't want to hold you up. I know you got to get to your writing. I as well have to do that. I've been kind of slacking, but I got to finish editing a lot of stuff. So, but I'm gonna let us all get back to our writing, and I really hope this process helps you. I'm just trying to give you guys as many tips as I can to make writing fun for you, and hopefully speed up the process where you're not having writer's block or whatnot. And stay tuned for the next episode. I do have a YouTube channel up for Write Our Way that you can also see the podcast on, so feel free to jump in on that if you don't have Apple or Spotify. And please subscribe. I love talking with you guys all the time. And I do have my personal website up right now where I will be posting my book that's coming out soon called The Door Inside the Woods. And so that will be up. If you want to see that or know when that is coming, my website is www.patrick-starks.com. That's www.patrick-starks.com. All right, guys, you know it. Love you all. Keep writing. Keep doing what you do best. Become a child again. Imagine, my friends.